Hi again, and welcome to Excel for Kids. Today we're going to look at cells. We're going to see what a cell is, how to identify a cell from another cell, and what settings we can apply to an individual cell. I hope you enjoy the video. Let's get started. So what is a cell? You may have heard of a prison cell, or even a cell in science. Well, a cell in Excel is very different to these types of cells. A cell is one of these small boxes that combine together to make the worksheet. A worksheet can contain thousands and thousands of cells, which can either hold a single independent piece of data or can be interconnected to other cells as part of a larger data set. I'm going to first zoom in a little using the zoom controls so that we can get a closer look at the individual cells. So each cell can be identified by its position in the worksheet. You may remember that with a worksheet, the columns are labelled with letters and the rows are labelled with numbers. A cell uses a combination of both the column and row to identify its location. This very first cell, for example, is in column A and row 1. Its identifier is therefore A1. If I was then to look at the next cell down, it's still in column A, but this time is in row 2. So its identifier is, can you guess? A2. If I move across from the original cell of A1, so I move across, I'm now in column B on row 1. So you've guessed it, that cell is B1. The eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed that every time I click a cell, that Excel automatically highlights what column and row I've selected. You may also have noticed that the cell position identifier or cell label is also always shown in this box here to the left of the formula bar. Both these methods are effective ways of quickly identifying a cell. Just one more thing I wanted to mention about cell navigation. So rows, as we know, are labelled with numbers. We also know that numbers can literally go on forever, meaning that we could effectively have an infinite number of rows. But how about letters? There are only 26 letters in the English alphabet. Does that mean that it's only possible to have a maximum of 26 columns? Excel's answer to this is no. So what happens when we get to column 27? Let's have a look, shall we? So what happens when we get to column 27? Well, the alphabet starts back at the beginning, but this time with an A before every letter. So where the column may have just been labelled A, it is now AA, and AB, AC, AD, and so on. Once we get to the end of the A alphabet, it starts again, but this time with a B in front of all the letters. Finally, on cell navigation, if I wanted to quickly get to a cell in my worksheet, I can use the small box up next to the formula bar to type in which cell I wanted to go to. For example, if I wanted to go back to the first cell in the sheet, I could type A1, press enter, and it would take me all the way back to A1. Equally, If I wanted to go to a really far cell in my sheet and I knew the cell label, I could type, for example, AAA, 1, 2, 3, 4, enter, and it'll take me to column AAA, row 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, let's have a look at what kind of things we can do to configure a cell or change what the data in a cell looks like. So for this section, we're going to be concentrating on this area of the ribbon under the Home menu. Before we look at these settings, I just wanted to demonstrate how we can change the size of the cell. In between each of the columns and rows, if you hover the mouse over, you can see that it turns into this funny little arrow symbol. Once you have that symbol, if you click on your mouse button, your right mouse button, you can change the width and the height of the cells that you're working in. Now we're going to look at some of the font settings we can apply to each of the cells to make them stand out or look different from other cells around them. So we're going to look at this part of the ribbon menu under the Home menu. As you can see in the worksheet, I've entered some text in some of the cells. So the text is a description of each of these different font settings, and I'm going to work through now just to show you what each of those does as I apply them to the cells. So the bold function is this function here, and as you click it, it makes the text bold or thicker, stands out. The italic setting is this one here. Click that one. As you can see, it puts my writing into italics, which puts it at an angle. Underline is there. Double underline, so if you just look at this arrow where the underline setting is, if you click this down arrow, you've got a double underline, so you can see that double underlines. We're then looking at fill. So as you can see, all these cells are the same color, they have the same color background. It is possible to change the color of these settings of the cells by adding fill. So in this case I've said red fill, so this is the fill option. Currently it's set to yellow, as you can see with this little yellow underneath the bucket. If we click this, we can change the color that fill is set to. So in this case we want red, so we'll set that to red. Blue fill, so again we need to change that to blue. Yellow fill, change that to yellow. In some instances, the color that you want to change to fill your cell with might not be available, so you can go into the color palette and you can select your color manually by clicking along. This here shows you what color you're currently looking at. So if we're looking at yellow, let's go yellow, and there we go. Next is text. So similar to the fill option, you can change the text color. So in this case we're going green, so the text, change the text color is here. So we need to change that to green. Green, purple, red, and so on. It is possible also to have fill to change the background color and to change the text color. So if, for example, I went into here and changed the text to red, obviously the text disappears. It's still there, but it's red. So we just change that back to blue, and there you go. There's an example where you've got red fill but blue text. Next is the size of the text, so you can make the text bigger or smaller. So this here tells you the text size, font size, so we can adjust it accordingly. So if I change that to 20, this one to size 6, so as you see that only goes down to 8. It's the smallest it allows you, but what you can do is you can manually enter 6, enter, and that changes. Then size 1, again we will need to type that in, so size 1, and if you can see that's really small. There's probably no situation where you'd ever want to go down to size 1, but the functionality is there. Next is alignment. So this is talking about where you want the data in the cell to appear. So align left means that the text will be at the left of the cell. Align right, the text will be right of the cell. And align center, the text will be in the center of the cell. So left align, this is your alignment here. If you see, as you hover over it, it actually tells you in the description what it is. So left align, so that was already aligned to the left, so that hasn't moved. Align right, so if I go there, as you can see that one moves across, and then finally align center, and that puts it in the middle. So we were looking at the horizontal axis in this case. We're also able to look at the vertical axis. So we have top align, so these ones here show where they sit vertically in the cell. So if I click that one, top align, so that obviously goes to the top. Middle align is already set, so that's in the middle, and then bottom align is there. It is also possible to do both of these at the same time. So for example, if I did top align, I could move that to the left, move it to the right, move it centrally, and equally with the rest of them. The next two settings are a little more complicated. So we have the wrap text setting and the merge and center. So if we look at the wrap text setting first, so what this allows you to do is whenever you're putting some information into a cell, the cells are only a certain size. So what happens in this case, if I write the words wrap text, wrap text, wrap text, obviously they go bigger than the actual cell that they sit in. So Excel makes it so they go past that cell, which means you actually can't see cell C7 very well because of the text from B7. So if I click wrap text, what that does is it keeps the text within the cell that it's supposed to be within. And if I just extend the size of that, the text is all still there within the cell itself. Merge and center, on the other hand, is if you have some text that goes across a cell, you might not want to wrap the text, so you might not want the text to be within the same cell. You might want the text to actually go beyond the cell and into the next cell. If you use merge and center, what you can do is you can join those two cells together and it creates one cell. So if I just take that off, as I click it, it's just clicking B8. If I click that part of it, it's C8. If I highlight both, so right click on my mouse and drag across to highlight both cells, click merge and center, and now we just have one cell. And the cell that is labeled as is B8. And that's it for today's video. Please place any comments or questions in the comments box and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.